What is up everyone, it is Typhoon Carter and welcome back to my Warp Skip Emblem 8 Reverse Recruitment Low Turn Count playthrough. Today we have a back-to-back for you guys. The first one being Chapter 16, where we go back and reclaim Renee from Orson. But first we give the boots to Cormag, and we also finally promote Tana. Now we promote her to Falco Knight because her promotion at this point doesn't really matter too much, and there aren't really any super necessary benchmarks that she needs to hit as a Wyvern Knight. With that done, we also get Amelia back, who received 6 auto levels from when she left. So this means she is able to promote into Paladin. One interesting thing in reverse recruitment is that the scripted promotion, technically Mer can promote into a Great Lord and gain a horse, but she loses her wings. While Amelia technically can promote twice, but the thing is that the second promotion, she basically loses one move and we don't really want that to happen. This is also the first chapter where we put that warp staff to use, and this part of the game is where a lot of warping starts being heavily utilized. We also brought Franz along, and Franz is a decent pre-promote and is mostly going to be filler. We have Mer consume the pure water because the throne room that we need to take her to has some dangerous enemies. Now, unfortunately, we can't really one-turn this map, unlike vanilla FE8, because of the fact that our warp range kinda sucks and our options are rather limited. We have to do a bit of a somewhat complicated rescue chain, but like, it's nothing too crazy. We just need to get Natasha to like be able to warp Cormag to where we need him to be. And with this rescue training, we use this to boost Tethys up because we also want to burn another use of warp after this one. The area where Orson is, there are some enemy heroes who are fairly dangerous, and we also have some enemy sages who hit fairly hard, which was also why we consumed that pure water with Mer at the start. Now this enemy phase is relatively okay for the most part, and Mer has gotten bulky enough to a point where she should be okay surviving. The way we place her is just to prevent her from getting completely sandwiched. That mercenary that attacked Tethys, that was like the only one that could reach her anyways. And like, she's in no real danger of dying. The hero hits somewhat hard, but like not so hard to a point where they would really be that much of a threat to Mer's survival. We just need to make sure Cormag does his part and kills the enemies that he faces to prevent Mer from getting outright trapped. And then the other thing to note is that the sages are stationary. Mer only really had to dodge once during that whole enemy phase, so her survival chances are actually pretty good. That priest drops a physic, and we are also going to get that because we have the resources to spend another warp use without any serious repercussions. Now turn 2, we're just cleaning up here, just like getting some enemies out the way so that Natasha can also perform another warp. We do this because we need her to reach that magic threshold for warp, as warp gives a lot of experience. And then we warp Franz up to the main room to get him to kill the priest that holds physic, because that's what the other items we want to get for this chapter. And then Sally just barriers up because he does still need to reach rescue rank eventually. One interesting thing to note is that Cormag actually has just enough to two-hit KO Orson with a Horse Slayer, although his hit rate is a little bit shaky at 68 displayed hit, but it's nothing too unreliable of a boss kill to pull off, as like Cormag is more or less just capped out on stats. And then finally Franz just gets his moment and just takes care of business by one-shotting this priest. And there is our physic. Now as we are about to seize, the scripted event we actually don't want to happen because both the promotions don't really work in our favor anyways. And this is also the only time where we can actually promote with the scripted event. The Lunar and Silver Braces just end up being items that are just going to be sold for money. And we also get Sigmund and Sieglind. Sieglind is now a Dragonstone that just gives a bunch of stat boosts like the original Dragonstone in FE8. And then we have Chapter 17. Chapter 17 is a fairly straightforward chapter for the most part, and one that we just decide to go for the player phase clear because it doesn't really matter too much with what we do on enemy phase and who we get to fight. Leon is still kind of weak at this point and isn't really ridiculously bulky. One interesting thing to note is that Cormag would still 2-round KO Leon with his current stats regardless of what happens. And the side objective here is to save all the NPCs, where we would get a rescue staff at the end of the chapter, which should be easy enough to do by doing a one-turn clear, since they're fairly far away from the enemies anyways. And yeah, that is Chapter 17 cleared in one turn. We get Nidhogg, and we also get Vidofnir. And most importantly, the rescue staff. I will see you guys next time.